Hey, I'd like to welcome you to another episode of Mission Matters. My name is Adam Torres, and if you'd like to apply to be a guest in the show, just head on over to missionmatters.com and click on Be Our Guest to apply. All right, so today's guest is Don Golden, and he's a founder, consultant, and author over at Just Capital Quotient. Don, welcome to the show.
Awesome, Adam. Glad to be with you today.
All right, man. So we got a lot to talk about today. So we're going to talk about equipping small and medium businesses for greater sustainability and impact. I want to hear how you got on that journey, how you even founded Just Capital Quotient. But before we do all that, we're going to start this episode the way that we start them all, with what we like to call our Mission Matters Minute. So Don, at Mission Matters, our aim and our goal is to amplify stories for entrepreneurs, executives, and experts. That's what we do. Don, what mission matters to you?
Awesome, Adam. Well, thank you. I love what you're doing because the mission that matters to me is equipping small and medium enterprises for greater impact and sustainability. That is the mission that I'm passionate about. I spent 30 years in the relief and development world, the large international charity space. And I traveled in over 80 countries and helped respond to some of the world's biggest crises. And what I learned during that time is that the only kind of development, human development, that is truly sustainable is economic development. And that really points to businesses. You know, people are not waiting around the world for you to buy one so you can give one. They like that, you know, they like that. What they're waiting for is an opportunity to build a life for themselves. And the economy touches on all the areas that are the most troubling for the human family. And so what you're doing, amplifying voices of businesses, and what I get to do to help those businesses be more impactful for humanity and more sustainable for the planet, that I think is the greatest mission we can work on together in our lifetime.
Amazing. Don, as you're going through that journey, working for these other companies and you're out there and you're traveling these, I think you said over 80 countries, like, was it a progression? Was there a moment in time? Like, how did you know that this next step or this next thing of helping businesses was going to be part of your calling in your path? How did you know?
Yeah, well, I don't know if years ago there was a pretty hard-nosed campaign slogan. This is the political campaign season, and it's the economy, stupid.
Yeah.
And you know, that really is the issue. It is the economy. The word economy, oikos, or household. You know, what kind of household are we going to build? And so what I saw is that when people have access to jobs, a job that they can live on and build a family on, they have a horizon of hope. And when they have a horizon of hope, they live flourishing lives. When people are flourishing, they're not going to war with one another. They're not tearing one another down. They're building a world that's better for all of us. And so I got to see economic development doing that at the very grassroots all across the world, some of the poorest countries in the world. And so I realized, you know, I love charities. Charities are needed. Absolutely. There are times when there is nothing humans can do but receive charity from others. But the best charities are the ones that give people a pathway into a flourishing economy. And so seeing that, understanding that, I realized that's what I want to do with my life. I want to help businesses.
What was it before JC Quotient or Just Capital Quotient? Like, did you have other businesses or other entrepreneurial pursuits, or like, were you always an entrepreneur? How'd that piece of it play into
No, I like to be harsh on myself and tell people I've been a leech on the economy my whole life. I've let you make money, and then I've made you feel guilty about the world, so you give me money so I can go do great things. That's what I did in the charitable world.
Yeah.
So no, this is my first foray. In fact, I thought I would really.
That's amazing. Go ahead.
Well, I was going to say, I thought I would have nothing to offer the business world, but my actual background is in theology. I'm a pastor. And what I do find is that people need and want to be sort of pastored into a new way of thinking about life and vocation and work. And so in some ways, I'm just a different kind of pastor. I'm helping people find their way to greener pastures in business.
How do you feel going into that transition was for you as an entrepreneur? Like, what was that like?
It was very exciting. I felt like I was entering a more of a faith journey. I left the
Mm,
based charity environment and went into the sort of secular business world, and it took
yeah,
more faith, which was interesting. So
that is interesting.
I felt like I was on a faith journey, and
Mhm.
it's revitalized my life and my energy.
Hmm. So just capital quotient. Let's go further into that. Tell us a little bit more about the business and the vision.
Yeah. So again, we exist to equip small and medium businesses for greater impact and
Hmm.
sustainability. Why small and medium? I think our current economy is ignoring the voice of two important players,
Hmm.
and that is the person, the average person, the person like you and me,
Yeah.
who aren't the masters of the universe, and it's
Hmm.
ignoring the voice of the planet, the systems and the resources that provide us with what we need.
Hmm.
And what I began to realize is that there is a new economy emerging, one that's
Hmm.
beginning to reward impact and sustainability. So this is not about charity. This is not about,
Hmm.
the old model was go make money, and then maybe you harm people. Hopefully you don't,
Yeah.
but maybe you harm people, and then spend your charitable dollars to help people.
Hmm.
So make money and do harm, give to charity and do good. But
Yeah.
the new model is an economy, are businesses that are positively impactful for people and regenerative and sustainable for the planet. And the economy is
Hmm.
beginning to reward that. And
Hmm.
so if you're a landscaper, for example, and you've never thought about native plants, you just want to grow grass, take care of grass, and cut grass, there is
Hmm.
some young person revolutionizing lawn care who's about to eat your lunch, because
Hmm.
they understand that native plants don't need as much water, that people are beginning to care about that.
Hmm.
And that's happening everywhere in the economy. That's the exciting
Hmm.
thing that we get to tap into, is this change and innovation
Hmm.
towards impact and sustainability.
That's a great example. Can you give maybe any other examples of either, businesses or ideas, or, how you're equipping and how you're helping these businesses so that our audience can kind of wrap their head around the work? Hmm.
Yeah, absolutely. There's, when you think about innovation, you obviously need to be innovating in a way that's going to pay you,
Yeah.
that's going to pay in the market. And one way to do that is to follow legislation. And I
Mm.
find a lot of small and medium businesses resent legislation, as we all
Mhm.
do. Who wants
Yeah.
the government dipping into your business?
Yeah.
But they are. And so when you can find out ways that laws are changing and that
Mhm.
it's influencing your industry. And so
Mhm.
I'll give you an example. The painting industry, coatings and paintings.
Mhm.
I've become an expert in that because some of our clients are painting and coatings companies. But there's a whole wave of what are called EPRs, or extended producer responsibility bills,
Mm.
crossing the nation, and they're impacting painting. So in 13 states now,
Mhm.
the manufacturer has to provide you a way to return unused paint. And so
Mm.
if you're a company that's not paying attention to that, you're going to miss the fact that unused paint can be recycled, and that recycled content paint can lower your materials cost by up to a third. And
Wow.
some really industrious young guy that probably looks like you and has a handsome red tie on like that, he's
Mm.
thinking about, how can I use this new recycled content paint to lower my
Mm.
materials costs and undercut my competitors and sell
Mhm.
more painting jobs. So that's happening in the painting industry.
Mm. That makes a lot. It makes a lot of sense. And so one of them would be, that's a good example, by the way. So legislation, seeing what's going on in the government side of things, sustainability. I'm guessing manufacturing. Like there's just,
Absolutely.
this
Yeah. I
touches
mean,
every different level, huh?
yeah, absolutely. We could just jotting a few highlights for this chat, but packaging,
Mm.
packaging is going, plastics industry. We create something like 300 million tons of plastic annually. I don't know what that means. So
That's so
I tried
much.
to,
That's so much.
yeah. I asked AI, can you tell me what 300 million tons of plastic looks like? And it said, well, imagine 200 million, the weight of 200 million cars,
Mm.
or 240,000 Olympic-sized swimming pools.
Wow.
That's the plastic we're generating every single year. So if you're finding new ways to tackle that problem, biodegradable packaging or reducing single-use plastics, you're getting out ahead. The whole clothing industry, it used to be all about fast fashion. There's some crazy statistic about the average new piece of clothing being only worn 2 or 3 times or something like that. And that's moving to circular fashion. And it's becoming fashionable to engage in circular fashion, and energy efficient appliances, solar everything coming online. And I had already mentioned sustainable landscaping. So almost every field, I think there are 3 categories in the way that businesses may think about themselves. One is, none of this applies to me. Now, I actually don't think that's true, but there are some industries maybe where it's hard to say. Then there's the other category where you are facing risk if you don't know about this. If you don't know about native plants and you're in that industry, you face the risk. This young person about to eat your lunch. But you also have a window of opportunity for innovation. And then there's the third category, which is you're already at the heart of a change issue right now. And do you know its elements? Are you able to speak to the people that can make the decisions that matter? And I'll give you one example. One of my clients is called White Hat Industrial, and they do roofing. And I don't know if you ever noticed, but every building you go into has one, has a roof. And if it isn't sealed properly, you're in trouble. A lot of our 401ks, a lot of our investments are tied to REIT. So the way we keep wealth is by keeping the value and integrity of our built assets. And that's about roofing. And the traditional roofing way is you put on a big rubber heavy roof, material heavy. It lasts for about 40 years. Then you tear it off and you put it in the ground where it takes 400,000 years to break down. Or you can choose White Hat Industrial, and they will take your old roof and use that old roof as the substrate of a new silicone white roof. You don't send any of that waste to the landfill. You turn that black roof white, which drastically reduces the energy costs, and it doesn't disrupt the tenants inside. It is literally a no-brainer. And so I'm working with White Hat Industrial and Joel Bell, the founder of that company, because we know that together we're in the middle of a disruption. We feel confident. And actually, this is interesting. This is something that clients in that risk innovation arena can think about. Big companies, big corporations are the kind of clients that many small and medium companies want to land. They are facing these pressures from impact and sustainability. They're looking for partners that can speak this language. And I have a friend of mine who likes to say that you're sent to whom you sound like. And when these companies are talking about waste reduction, when they have goals about, how do we reduce waste? How do we make sure that we're diversified in our hiring and our contracting? How do we reduce energy costs? If you have something in your work that you can begin to help them answer that question, you're going to sound like the decision makers at that big corporation, and they may just give you a seat at the table to sell to them. And so that's some of the ways in which the economy is shifting under the pressures of the challenges in our world today, which are really just 2: wealth inequality, extreme wealth inequality, and planetary degradation. Those pressures are changing the economy. And when businesses can step up with innovation, they can win in the market.
So you mentioned the 3 different categories, and for those that feel that this doesn't affect them, that was one of the categories. Hopefully after listening to this, they'll know it does affect them. But for those that kind of know but haven't gone down this path yet, like they know it's one of those things, it's on the list of things that we all have, our list of things we want to start thinking about and strategizing about. We're in August now. This will be, maybe somebody's doing their planning for fourth quarter or even going into the new year. Like, how does somebody start going down that path of even having these conversations? How does that begin?
In short, we can help you do an impact and sustainability audit. We can kind of look at your business and your industry and give you some top line indications about what a competitive angle. We call it competing on impact and sustainability. But really, it's following 3 sort of progressive levels. One is innovation. You just thinking about how your industry is changing, looking at almost at, excuse me, almost every business owner knows.
Yeah.
You know, you ask them, they see it, they know. They have varying degrees of comfort with it or engagement with it, but they know.
Mhm.
And so, but where does that innovation come from? Looking at legislation. So having someone help you look
Mhm.
at these extended producer responsibility bills or architectural heritage painting bills or many of the reporting disclosures that are impinging upon your
Mhm.
industry, having somebody help you navigate that to look for the places where it is or may or probably will be impacting your industry is helpful. And so we help people do that work. But
Yeah.
actually an area, and maybe it's the pastor in me, but the vocation
Mhm.
side, you know, I have a strong belief, this faith element in me, that
Mhm.
every human being is made on purpose for purpose. And if you're an
Mhm.
entrepreneur, I really think you're kind of the apostle of our age. You're the one
Mhm.
that where the hope for change is going to come, because you're in the middle of our real economy. And so
Mhm.
helping people, you know, vocation is that, you know, that combination of profession, what you get
Mhm.
paid for, and mission, what the world needs. And so
Yeah.
that's kind of what we help you. Well, what's in your heart to do? Let me just say one more thing about that. I'm not talking about passionate ESG or tree
Mhm.
hugging or that sort of thing. This
Yeah.
this is, you know, what I always ask our clients is if they care about that. And often they'll be a little wishy-washy, or they'll be very direct. No, I don't care about that. That's a bunch of BS. But then I'll ask the question, well, you know, where do you like to spend your time to recreate, to
Hmm.
rest and relax? And it's always nature. It's always
Yeah.
lakes and rivers and mountains. You care about the world. You want to leave it better than you found it.
Mhm.
And you don't want the legacy of your business to be that you undermined the biosystems of life that your
Mhm.
grandkids are going to need. And so learning what is my responsibility, and what is my
Yeah.
opportunity to learn more about uh, the challenges of our planet and of our societies, and how my business can become
Mhm.
part of the solution. And
Yeah.
by the way, could I win in the market because of
Yeah.
that? I mean, that's turning your vocation into your mission into your vocation, and that's called a fulfilling life.
And that's one of my favorite parts, is that this is that last piece that you mentioned, is that this discussion is kind of moving, not saying that it shouldn't have always been there in terms of sustainability, what's good for the environment, all that, because ultimately, you know, we live in it, right? We're not getting another Earth right now anytime
Mhm.
soon. So
Yeah, yeah,
we wanna be able to enjoy this Earth while we have
right,
it, right?
that's right.
But the fact that now it's turning into like good business as
Yeah,
well, like the
yeah,
stakeholder capitalism side of things.
yeah,
Go a little bit further in that side, and
yeah,
like what you see and why
yeah.
it's good for business.
Yeah, I actually think we're in the middle of a business paradigm shift, a
Mm,
true an epical shift,
yeah.
and it is these pressures forcing us. And I like to use the term the trade winds of the economy.
Hmm.
There's a documentary out called "Who Killed ESG" by the Financial Times,
Hmm.
and the punchline of that documentary is ESG has taken some hits, but sustainable economic challenges and innovation are here to stay. There are too
Hmm.
many forces.
For
And so
sure.
that's this epical shift to a new kind of economy is one that is more positively impactful and more sustainable for people and more sustainable for the planet. And
Mm,
likely your business, whatever it is, has some connection to that. And what I love to do is first help you find in your own heart why that
mhm,
matters, why
mhm.
you should care, or why you already do care, and how it
Yeah.
relates to your business. So yeah, I think we're in an epic defining shift to a new kind of economy that you rightfully called a stakeholder economy.
Mm. So one of the things I like to do on this show, Don, is once I find out I got an author on the show, I love promoting books. I like talking about them. So I definitely have to bring this up. I know you have a book out there. So Jesus Wants to Save Christians, Learning to Read a Dangerous Book.
Yes, 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 yes.
What was the inspiration for this?
Yeah, so I was pastoring a church with a friend of mine years ago in Michigan, a guy named Rob Bell, who is an author himself, a prominent author. And the Iraq War was ramping up, and we saw that Christians who are supposed to like love your enemies were all encouraging us to drop bombs. And we were kind of thinking, you know, maybe faith shouldn't be a source of division or social fracture, or in the case of what we're talking about today, ecological indifference. You know, many people of faith think, oh, we don't need to care about the economy because or the planet, because we're going to die and go to heaven, and this place is, you know, secondary. But Jesus said, thy kingdom come, thy will be done on earth as it is in heaven. So the idea behind the book is sometimes we Christians participate in the very things that Jesus came to save us from. And we want to see those people of faith and their faith compelling towards acts of peace and healing and loving stewardship of the earth, being leader. You know, what I have found in the ecological movement, there's actually a lot of despair. People don't have hope. They don't have faith. Well, people of faith are the ones that can bring a vision that even dead things can live again. And so Jesus wants to save Christians. You know, as I think about the message of that book today, I mean, it was written years ago, but today I think Jesus wants to save the planet, actually, because it's the life support system for everything we love. And I think Jesus wants to save people from despair, from not having a horizon of hope that they can have a flourishing life. And I think people of faith, many of my, you know, America, a third of Americans claim church attendance and active faith. And so many people of faith are seeking a way to put that faith into action. That's something I very much love to help them do. But then people who don't have an active faith are often looking for something deeper within them. And I love to help them as well. So yes, thank you for mentioning Jesus wants to save Christians. It's really a look at the Bible in such a way that helps us understand what God is calling us to do to make a difference in the world.
Now I know it's a full book, and I'm sure there's many messages and things that you want your readers to get out of the book. But if there was one that, like, after somebody's done, you know, reading the book, what do you hope they walk away with?
That their power and their privilege is not something to ignore. It is something to embrace and to understand why they have it. And the message of our book is that God gives power and privilege for one reason, and that is that you will uphold justice and what is right for others. And that means, I think, for people and planet today. And that's the key message. Celebrate your power, your wealth, your privilege. It's awesome. God's blessings are awesome, but they're there for a reason. In some ways, the only way to keep our power and privilege is to find appropriate ways to distribute it and to give it away, so that your life is kind of a conduit of those blessings that can continue to flow. So what's our power and privilege for, and how can we use it in the world for good? That's the key message of the book.
Amazing. Well, Don, this has been so much fun having you on the show today. I'm glad that we finally got together and got to do this. If somebody's watching this or listening to this and they want to follow up, continue the conversation about Just Capital Quotient, or even pick up a copy of your book, how do they do that?
Yeah, you can pick up the book on Amazon or anywhere that you buy books. It's available. And reach out to me, find me on LinkedIn, or come to my website, justcapitalquotient.com, justcapitalquotient.com, and right on the landing page, it'll give you a way to connect with me. And I'd love to give you kind of a free top line analysis of, hey, here's something going on in your industry and something we could think about together. So yeah, find me on LinkedIn or come to my website, justcapitalquotient.com.
Perfect. And for everybody listening and watching this, just so you know, we'll put the links to all that in the show notes, so you can just click on the link and head right on over. And speaking of the audience, if this is your first time with Mission Matters and you haven't done it yet, hit that subscribe or follow button. This is a daily show. Each and every day, we're bringing you new interviews, new content, and hopefully new inspiration that can help you along the way in your journey as well. So again, hit that subscribe or follow button. And Don, man, so much fun. Until the next time, thank you so much for coming on.
Awesome. Thank you, Adam.